Let me say this as clearly as possible. You do not need 20% down to buy a house, not even close. Conventional can be as low as 3% down, FHA can be 3.5%, and some loans are literally 0% down. So while we talk through how people buy with little to no money out of pocket, we're going to tour this house together. This one is in Mavera. It's a 2024 build, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 2,218 square feet. So when you hear buy a house with no money down, what I mean is there are legit ways to show up to closing with little to no money out of pocket. And in some cases, because of how credits and prepaids shake out, people can even walk away with money back at closing. If you're new here, just a quick hello. I'm Allie, the real estate doc. I help a lot of first-time buyers as well as folks relocating to Conroe and other parts of North Houston. I also specialize in new construction, so I can tell you that builders have incentive options most people don't even know to ask about. Quick heads up before we get into the video though, the link to talk with me is right at the top of the description. So if you're even a little curious what you qualify for, click the link and let's chat. Especially if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not ready because I don't have enough saved, you might actually be closer than you think. Okay, here are the real ways people buy with little to no money out of pocket and how I structure these deals behind the scenes. And make sure you stick around till the end because I'm going to give you guys some tips that are really outside the box. Okay, first bucket, true zero down loan options. If you're eligible for a VA loan, that can be 0% down. It's one of the strongest tools out there. USDA loans can also be 0% down, but they're location-based and income-based. So translation, some areas on the edges of Conroe and North Houston qualify, and some don't. I actually linked in the description a map where you can check the eligibility of a specific address and go from there. Now, keep in mind, I don't want it to sound too good to be true just yet. 0% down doesn't mean $0 total. You still have closing costs and prepaids, which means taxes and insurance, where you pay a few months up front to kind of cushion the blow for those that will come later down the road. The strategy is figuring out who is paying what. Our second big category is down payment assistance, and this is where I want to be super transparent. Down payment assistance is not usually free money, quote unquote. Most of the time, you're paying for it with a higher interest rate, or it's structured as a second loan behind your first mortgage. In Texas, a lot of DPA programs offer around 2% to 5% of your loan amount. So if your loan amount is $300,000, let's say, that's roughly $6,000 to $15,000 that can go toward your down payment, your closing costs, or both, depending on the program. Here's the part people don't say loud enough. DPA usually comes with a higher rate, like I said. A lot of the time, you'll see something like a 1/4 point to 3/4 of a point higher, depending on the program and how much you take. And that's why I don't push DPA. Sometimes it's the perfect move because it gets you into a home sooner, but sometimes the rate bump makes it the more expensive option long term, and you're actually better off using builder incentives or a seller concession instead. So it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all, but it's good to know that the option exists if you need it. Our third and super important area to talk about is seller concessions and builder incentives, aka the money is in the ask. On resale homes, we can negotiate seller concessions, which means that the seller pays part of your closing costs. That's often how buyers avoid bringing a big chunk of cash to closing. And here's a think outside the box one. If you're renting and your lease won't let you out early, sometimes I've been able to negotiate for help from the seller with lease break fees or moving related costs, as long as it fits lender rules and concession limits. Not every deal, not every lender, but it's absolutely a conversation worth having before we write the offer. Now, new construction is a whole different game, and that's why I specialize in it. Builders may offer incentives like closing costs paid, rate buydowns, and upgrades. Sometimes that incentive is only available if you use their preferred lender, and that's not always a bad thing. It just means we compare options instead of guessing. Here's the simple truth. A lot of people could buy sooner, but they don't know how to structure the deal. They assume they need 20% or some crazy amount down payment, and they just wait, and prices and payments don't exactly sit still. Okay, so now we're going to dig into how these barely any money to closing deals actually get built. Number one, we stack credits on purpose. builder incentives, seller concessions, and sometimes lender credits. Number 2, we decide where the money goes first. If I can get closing costs covered, now your savings can go toward the down payment, or we choose a 0% down option and you keep your cash in the bank. Number 3, we time it right. End of the month, end of quarter, spec or inventory homes that the builder wants sold. Your leverage can change depending on what the builder or seller needs. And number 4, we compare options side by side. So DPA versus no DPA with stronger concessions or incentives, because sometimes DPA is the win and sometimes the rate bump is just not worth it. Now let's talk about the people getting money back at closing thing, because I've seen it happen and it confuses everybody. Usually what's happening is you've already paid earnest money and then your negotiated credits cover a big chunk of your closing costs. And sometimes prepaids like insurance, taxes, and escrow get over-collected or adjusted, and the final numbers settle out with a refund. To be clear, credits can't always just turn into unlimited cash in your pocket. Lender rules still matter, but refunds and money back can absolutely happen depending on how everything reconciles at the closing table. So here is all I want you to take from this. If you've been sitting on the sidelines because you don't have 20% down or even 10% or maybe even 5% down, you might still have a path. VA, USDA, down payment assistance, builder incentives, seller concessions, lender credits, or a combo of those can make it happen for you. And if you're hesitant or honestly a little scared to take the next step because you don't want to be told no, click the link at the top of the description and talk to me. Worst case, you get a clear plan. Best case, you find out you're way closer than you think. If this video was helpful, please subscribe for more Conroe and North Houston real estate strategy, especially new construction tips. And comment with your price range and I'll tell you which route I'd check first for your situation.